Hey everybody, welcome to the weekend edition of Sports Frenzy 2.0. I am the Maestro, Kevin Crane.
I'm the Conquistador, Dave Height.
A little bit different for you this week. We are getting prepped and ready to observe the first round of the NFL draft for our other episode, which is coming up next Wednesday, the mothership, the regular Sports Frenzy 2.0. So we are here drinking copious amounts of adult beverages, waiting on the elder statesman. No, he will not be partaking. He has an image to protect.
Not anymore. He's retired.
Yeah, that goes way back. That's an inside joke going way back to the early days of Sports Frenzy on cable access. But
yes, the porn reviews did not go over well.
But now Dave and I are doing what we want, so porn reviews are welcome. Not really. We dialed it back just a little bit from that. Just a little bit. But of course, taping here on the 28th. This will hit the morning of the 30th, just in time to set you up for the weekend. We're going to tell you what to listen to, what to
not
watch.
to listen to.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a pretty big theme with the album, the EP. Now, the two songs might be a different story. We got two singles to review, and I am very, very encouraged by what I heard from those. Let's put it that way.
We're in agreement so far.
All right, so let's take our medicine. Let's, take the castor oil, get it over with, take the Band-Aid right off.
We need a keg of beer to make this one go down.
I admire the fact that you are trying to expand our horizons, not just yours, but mine as well, because I said I had very bad feelings about this album.
I heard bad things about it, but I thought we need to give it due diligence, being the podcast geniuses that we are.
And we are trying to be fair, and we're trying to review something new every week, so no problem. Third Secret, the quote-unquote secret band, releasing an album a few weeks back without anyone knowing about it, the grunge quote-unquote supergroup, with Kim Thayil from Soundgarden, Matt Cameron from Soundgarden and Pearl Jam, and, of course, Chris Novoselic from Nirvana.
You would think, this has got to be good, right? You would be wrong on many, many levels.
And again, we try to steer away from being misogynist, from being sexist, although we won't apologize for it when we are, and I think maybe this is the time.
Yeah.
There are times when a female vocalist does not work, and this is one of those times.
Oh my God, she was awful. The monotone.
Droning is the first word that popped into my head. On the first song, Rhythm of the Ride, droning vocals almost entirely throughout the 11 songs.
Yeah, it was not good. And Rhythm of the Ride was a horrible song to start with. They would have been much better off with I Choose Me to lead off.
That is the first single. Right.
Yeah, that's not bad. I didn't mind that one. That was one of two that I kind of liked off of this one.
Yeah, I agree. I Choose Me. I didn't love it. I tolerated it. It sounds a lot like, with the female vocals, of course, notwithstanding, if Chris Cornell had been singing, I could have seen this as a Bad Motorfinger B-side or an outtake from the sessions. So it was like low level Soundgarden to me.
Yeah, very low.
But then after that, I don't even know if we really need to get in depth on a lot of these songs. Last Day of August
sucked.
That was hippie crap.
Winter Solstice, what the hell were they doing?
Sounded like they were trying to do Led Zeppelin folky shit.
Yeah, it was just the high-pitched, whiny vocals in there. It was just abysmal. Lies Fade Away, that was the second one that I kind of liked.
I didn't like it. When you said you had two, I've got another one I like, but not that one.
So, Live Without You was meh. Right Stuff.
What the hell was that? Was that an accordion?
That was
glockenspiel? What was that? It sounded like carnival music.
That's exactly what I wrote down. Carnival stuff right there.
Yeah.
It's awful.
You can tell if the Conquistador and the Maestro are simpatico on something that obscure and that weird when we reviewed this separately. Who puts carnival-esque music as a background to a rock/grunge song?
Idiots. That's what. Dead Sea was Dead Emotion. That was another abysmal drone. That even musically, it was awful.
Yep, I agree completely.
Diamond in the Cold. That was another meh.
I didn't like it, but it sounded a little bit
better.
more like the I Choose Me Soundgarden sound.
Then you had Somewhere in Time.
I like that.
That one was okay.
I kind of liked sound. That is my favorite song on the album is Somewhere in Time.
Yeah.
Where the vocalist actually loosened up a little bit.
Yeah, you got a little bit more range. And then the yellow dress should have just been taken off.
Terrible. Yeah.
Abysmal.
I can't give this more than I saw. This is not a 0, half a frenzy. I can't give it more than half a frenzy because there's only 1.5 songs out of 11 I actually like.
Exactly. That's probably the lowest we've ever given.
Yeah. Half a frenzy for me.
I'm right there with you.
All right.
It was just not good.
All right. Now we move on to Kirk Hammett's Record Store Day release, Portals, his EP, 4 instrumentals. Stories are that he's been inspired by horror movies on this.
See, to me, this felt like he was trying to channel his inner Wagner, the whole Ride of the Valkyries type opera.
I agree completely. Lots of strings.
And he had 4 different movements to the piece.
So let's just list them off right away. First, Maiden and the Monster, then the Djinn, then High Plains Drifter, and then finally the Incantation.
Yep.
This clocks in at about 25 minutes, roughly.
Yeah, so you're looking at 7+ minutes per song. And it's
on average, yeah.
On average.
Yeah. Again, we go back to, we've been reviewing a lot of guitar work lately from Tom Morello, Steve Vai, Joe Satriani. So
we appreciate it. It's good, but it's hard to take all in one sitting.
Yeah. Even with a 4-song EP.
Yeah.
It's still a lot to take in.
Which is another reason why we're not big fans of the classical music.
Exactly.
There's got lyrics, certain pieces.
And we need lyrics. We need words.
I can take it in small doses.
Right. A bridge. When we reviewed Aldo Nova here recently, on The Life and Times of Eddie Gage, there were 2 instrumentals, but they worked extremely well, especially the first one, Psycho Ward, worked really well.
Yeah.
But yeah, for an entire album of this, even an EP, it was a bit much for me. And I can't really distinguish too much between the 4.
I got enough to know that changing pace, trying to tell some type of a story with it. But again, I can appreciate it. The guitar work was good.
But let me ask you this, though. I agree with you. I appreciate it. Kirk Hammett, nobody's going to rip on Kirk. He's fantastic. But some of the other stuff, again, going back to the recent months we reviewed, some Joe Satriani, even the Tom Morello one, I liked a lot.
Yeah.
For what it was. But again, I don't want a whole album of it.
This didn't have the depth that the others did.
Exactly. I like those more. I like those a lot better. Now, this is his first time trying to do this on his own.
Yeah.
And I actually heard a story today. Jason Newsted, of course, has been in the news a lot lately between the Van Halen stuff he let out of the bag.
Right.
And now I've heard within the last day or two that he's disclosed why he basically left Metallica was because they said no side projects. So obviously they've loosened up on that a little bit to let Hammett go do this.
Or he just said, F you, I'm doing it anyway.
Yeah. But frenzy and a half.
I was going to go 2.
Again, not terrible, but it's just a really hard project type to pull off the entire guitar instrumental album EP.
Yeah, it was okay for a first attempt.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
Now we move on to the two singles we are going to review, and much better vibes coming from these two.
So much better. Shall we start with Hollywood by the Black Moods?
Yep. Third release off their upcoming album. Cannot wait. I am a huge Black Moods fan. We saw them in concert.
Yep. Very good. I really liked this one. The tale of trying to live out on the West Coast and doing what you had to fit in.
Yep. Great hook. Great. Not a monumental poppy hook, more of a downbeat.
Yeah.
Kind of snaky hook in there.
Lyrically is awesome.
Best of the three so far. And the other two weren't bad.
No, I agree. I really like this one. I went 3.5 on this one.
Completely agree. 3.5 frenzies for Hollywood from the Black Moods.
So looking forward to the full album.
Yes, but one for the fact we already have a house band, The Offspring.
Yeah.
The Black Moods could be the warm-up band. Let's put it that way.
There we go.
Second release from Diamond Star Halos, the upcoming Def Leppard album. We got Kick a few weeks back. Now we get Take What You Want, which I liked a lot more.
This felt like comfort music.
Old Def Leppard.
Old Def Leppard comfort music. It's what you hope to get from them.
A little bit harder edge to it.
Yes.
Almost, initially I wanted to say High and Dry, but maybe Pyromania instead.
More Pyromania.
A little more polish.
Yeah.
But I like this a lot more.
This one was definitely a lot better than Kick. Kick, the more I listen, grows on you. But I like this one more.
And it'll be interesting to hear these two songs, where they place them in the context of the full album.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I can't go quite as high with this as I did with the Black Moods, but I will give it a strong 3.
I'm going the same place. I've got 3 down for this as well.
All right, 3 frenzies. Def Leppard, really looking forward to Diamond Star Halos coming out here within the next month or two. So we're working on next week's slate. We do have a couple songs to review. The new Journey, second single off their upcoming album, Freedom. That's coming out July the 8th. The second single just came out a couple days ago, You Got the Best of Me. And then the second single from the upcoming Black Keys album is It Ain't Over. So we seem to be having better luck with the singles instead of the albums. But I'm thinking that maybe next week's album, go back a little bit retro in time. How about the new Ann Wilson album, Fierce Bliss? Lead vocalist, of course, for Heart. Her third, I believe, solo album. Really, there's not much else out there right now.
No, we're kind of in a holding pattern, waiting for some stuff coming out.
I have a special treat for the episode after next, though. I will be selfish. I will have Dave review an album that I've been looking forward to here for a while, although it is a live album, not a studio album. It goes back in time, but it's a brand new release coming out next Friday. I will save that, keep that under my hat, my Tampa Bay Buccaneers hat.
There you go.
Since the Bears aren't drafting tonight, go Bucks.
No kidding.
All right.
We'll see what the Dolphins have in store for me. Ugh.
Yeah, of course, the spotlight's on the New York teams because they both got 2 picks in the top 10. Jacksonville, Detroit, the Texans.
Yep.
The usual assortment of losers and miscreants.
That just can't do anything.
Good thing the elder statesman is not here yet. The Detroit Lions fan. All right, kids, that's it for segment 1. As I mentioned, we got to wrap things up here a little bit quicker than normal because we have got a draft shindig to get going.
All right. Movie reviews coming up.
That's right. Stay tuned. We will be right back.
Now that we've let you into Frenzy Club, here are 3 rules. 1. You don't talk about Sports Frenzy 2.0. You listen to it on Spotify, Anchor, Google, Apple, and all other major podcast hosts. 2. 2 guys to a show. Kev Dave, the Maestro and the Conquistador. 3. 1 Sports Frenzy episode at a time. Until Saturday, when you get the weekend edition. Now get in there and let loose on some PC wussbags, will ya?
All right, kiddies, get your popcorn ready for the weekend. We got your movie reviews here on the weekend edition of Sports Frenzy 2.0. I am the Conquistador, Dave Height.
And I'm the Maestro, Kevin Crane.
And this week's review for me is a follow-up of the Maestros from last week, The Batman.
Yeah, we kind of had to do this in reverse like we did with Spider-Man. So I am going to jump in where I can, when I can, with a more detailed review than what I gave you guys last week, because I do not want to drop spoilers on you guys. But now that Dave has seen it, maybe a little more detail.
Yep, we can get into that. So, Mrs. C and I watched this one this week and kind of got off to a little bit of a slow start, the slow build. And the first question we had is, why the hell is everyone talking in a whispering rasp? So once we got over that initial part, it was very good. Real fast. It picked up to have a really good pace to it. Kept things moving along once it got rolling. And, you know, I criticized the casting. But Pattinson did do a phenomenal job as Batman. And very weak as Bruce Wayne. Just that whole emo, goth, wannabe, whatever, just kind of grated. But other than that, absolutely loved it. Other than, why the hell did they make the Riddler into a gimp?
That was my problem, and I did not want to go into detail on that again because I knew you were going to be watching it. I thought the problem was not just a gimp, but because of the muffled voice, he was basically a weaker rehash of Bane from the last Batman movie with Christian Bale, Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
I kind of almost wished, I understand the riddles had to be involved in the plot, but he seemed like a mashup of the Riddler and Bane that I just didn't like in the end.
I did not care for the way they portrayed the Riddler. That's my big knock.
Now, is it the worst ever? No, I've seen much worse.
Jim Carrey was god-awful.
He went too far with the original Frank Gorshin.
Yeah, he took it to another level.
Right. So it's a minor criticism. In the end, I did understand what the Riddler was doing.
Yeah. You got there. The riddles were intriguing. They kept you guessing throughout. Very well done with the plot run through that.
And the Penguin, of course, is in it. Colin Farrell, who
you will not recognize.
Never be able to figure out that was Colin Farrell if you didn't see the credits.
Yeah. No, that was wow.
And, of course, we talked about it a week or two ago that HBO Max is already planning on a Penguin series to follow up because the Penguin doesn't have a lot to do in this.
No, this was kind of a setup for the
him.
Penguin.
Yes, because if anybody out there understands the Batman lore, let's just say Carmine Falcone plays a bigger role in this than anybody thought. John Turturro.
Yeah, John Turturro did a phenomenal job.
Playing Carmine Falcone. Falcone has always been a central mob/crime figure in Gotham for Batman.
Yeah, and it was the Penguin did get his start under Falcone.
And then, of course, the whole sexual dynamic between Batman and Catwoman is there. It works great.
It's perfect.
Zoe
Very well
Kravitz,
done.
of course, has that sex appeal that just is fantastic.
Yeah, they actually had a really good chemistry.
Yep.
On set that it had harkened back to Adam West and the three females who played Catwoman on the TV show.
Right, depending on if you're talking about the TV show or the movie. There's Lee Merriweather, Eartha Kitt, and Julie Newmar.
Yep. So they had that type of chemistry that you could feel.
It was definitely better than Anne Hathaway.
Oh, God, that was just so bad.
She doesn't have that kind of magnetism. Michelle Pfeiffer was pretty good.
Yep. Halle Berry was okay.
Yeah.
But it still didn't.
In the standalone.
Yeah. But the chemistry between Batman and Catwoman, this one really brought it more to the forefront and did it well.
Yep. Jeffrey Wright is really good as Jim Gordon. Yep. Again, as I mentioned, I like the fact this is not an origin story. We don't see kids falling into caves full of bats. God. 2 years in, we're given Jim Gordon and Bruce Wayne / Batman have this alliance already formed. There's already a bat signal.
Gordon is not the commissioner. He's still just a detective.
Right.
I love that part.
Andy Serkis as Alfred is great.
Did a phenomenal job.
So, yeah, I don't know if you're going to agree with my 3.5.
I was going to go 3.
I didn't have as much of a problem with the start as you did. I thought it pretty much jumped right in and got going. I was okay with it.
Yeah.
And again,
about the first 15, I'm just kind of, okay, how are this going to get rolling? And then once it kicked in. And then the whole raspy crap, raspy voices.
Love the climactic scene in the arena.
Oh, my God, that was brilliant.
Yeah. And his suit, they did a great job because, of course, Batman, you got to judge the suits, the vehicles, the technology.
Yeah, all well done.
Yep.
It's probably one of my favorite cars.
Yeah, and the suit was good, too.
The suit was perfect.
Really like the suit.
Articulated well. It looked good. It didn't look like it was cumbersome. He was able to move and do everything in it.
Right, and the Batcave is low tech for once.
Yeah, this was probably go over the top.
The most bare bones Batcave that we've seen.
Yeah.
But yeah, Batmobile great, suit great. I just liked it a little bit more, but too enthusiastic.
Still, much better than I could have anticipated this being.
Yep. And so, of course, Dave and I were talking off mic about CinemaCon this week. Some of the news coming out of that. Number one, the Batman sequel, Duh, is a go now, and Pattinson will be back. No other word on outside of director. Matt Reeves is obviously coming back. Who will be involved? That will be interesting, considering of course, we're an adult podcast, so I'll say it, blew their wad.
Yeah.
Burning up Penguin, Riddler, Catwoman. Now, of course, there's a fourth mystery guest at the party at the end.
You'll just have to watch it yourselves, kids.
So I'm sure that will come into play at some point. If not the second, maybe the third.
Yeah. So, I forgot the other major part I liked about this was the storyline about his parents.
Yes.
Knowing the Waynes and his mom being an Arkham.
Yes. A lot more depth. Again, not an origin story, but a lot more depth on the Wayne family. That was a new twist that we've never seen before.
Yeah, that I really
where maybe
liked.
The Wayne family wasn't
squeaky.
The wholesome, squeaky clean, benevolent, yet rich family that we thought they were.
Yep.
Very good writing on that. Yes, great point. Of course, I am dying, waiting for Mission Impossible 7. Finally, we at least have a title. Because, of course, they're filming Mission Impossible 8 right now. So, Mission Impossible 7 is Dead Reckoning, Part 1.
Is this where he goes into the nursing home?
I got to figure. I've got to figure MI8's it. Mission Impossible 8 has got to be it. Part 2 of Dead Reckoning will be the end. It's got to be. I just can't.
I can't see him keep
unless
going.
They do a reboot and he turns into Peter Graves, basically.
And runs the team.
Right, runs a younger team. I could see that.
That could
will
keep
his
the
ego
franchise going.
Will his ego allow him to do that, or is he still going to be 80 years old? Going, I can dive off a plane, goddammit! I can dive off a plane. Scientology says I can. I could see his ego really pushing him well past the point where he should have said, bye-bye. I'm done. Yeah. He will not bow out gracefully like Daniel Craig.
No, he's going to jump the shark.
He'll probably say, I can jump the shark, goddammit! Just make sure the battery in my scooter is charged up fully. Sony came out with some news. I know you're not a big fan of the Venom movies, and eventually I will review Let There Be Carnage. But, of course, they have already come out now and said this week Venom 3 is a go. In terms of films we both liked, they are going to go ahead with the 5th Ghostbusters movie.
Oh, my.
It sounds like they're going to stick with the kids, so that's good.
Okay, that's good. I can get behind that.
It'd be interesting to see what they do with that.
Yeah.
We loved Afterlife so much. It's going to be hard to follow that one up.
It was so well done. It brought a great closure to the original characters.
Yep.
Although I can see one having a role going forward, possibly two. We'll see.
Now, we mentioned Venom 3. We've seen Morbius this year basically crash and burn. Terrible reviews. I have not seen it yet, but by all accounts, it's a very bad movie.
Yeah, the boys said it was okay.
I think Sony is trying to push the Spider-Man universe a bit too far and a bit too hard with what they're doing now. Not Kraven the Hunter. I am looking forward to Kraven the Hunter.
Kraven the freaking Hunter.
That's the next one on the agenda. I want to see that. But then we've discussed Madam Web. And now El Muerto, played by Bad Bunny.
That's going to be bad.
Now, this will show you, I'm a comic book guy. I am a comic book guy. I have no idea who El Muerto is. Not a single fucking clue. I have not read the comics in 20 years. That's fine. Madam Web, I barely kind of maybe know. But again, my big complaint with Spider-Man has always been you have so many classic villains. Where's the goddamn Scorpion?
I know, that's the
Where's
big
the
one.
Rhino instead of Paul Giamatti in a mechanic suit? You've got so many. Batman and Spider-Man have the two greatest assemblages of villains in the entire comic book universe, and they have never been able to fully realize the potential. Now, I admit Sony's trying, but they're going with the wrong ones.
Agree completely.
This sounds like PC crap, is what it does. It sounds like we got to have a female and we've got to have a Hispanic.
You got to check the boxes, kids.
Check the boxes. Bullshit.
Other news out of CinemaCon. Marvel. Their head guy said he and his creative team are going on retreat to map out the next 10-year phase of the Marvel Universe. So we'll see what we get out of that.
Yeah, Dave and I talked off mic. Not looking forward really to the rest of the year outside of Doctor Strange for what Marvel's got in 2022.
Next, then you've got the movie Thor, Love and Thunder, and then you've got the Disney Plus stuff.
Ms. Marvel and She-Hulk. Sounds like a hashtag Me Too year for Disney. I was almost going to put this in dumbasses, but I figured with the time crunch this week, we'd skip dumbasses.
There we go. Pull the trigger.
Seth MacFarlane wants to reboot The Naked Gun.
Oh, God.
But you will never believe who he wants to star as Frank Drebin.
Oh, no. Please tell me he's not going to screw it up royally.
Let's put it this way. There are two extremes you could go. You could go ultra goofy, stupid, comedic, or ultra serious and try to bring that person back.
God. Don't. Oh, God. It's going to wind up being like the Dragnet movie with Tom Hanks being the quirky partner to the serious Dan Aykroyd.
Let's put it this way. Who has starred in more serious action movies in Hollywood over the last 5 years than anybody else?
Liam
Neeson is on Seth MacFarlane's radar to star as Frank Drebin. To go against type. And the bumbling, inept gets so funny.
I could actually see Neeson pulling this off, being the goofball. Because you can see hints of that in some of his characters. That's intriguing.
It'll be interesting to see if they pull this off.
See, I would almost like to see Michael Keaton.
Might be, well, I can't say too old because Leslie Nielsen was pretty old when he played Drebin.
Yeah. Neeson's not that much. Neeson and Keaton are pretty darn close.
I need some time to think about this. I guarantee I could come up with at least 3 or 4 guys that would be better.
Well, yeah.
Now, I don't know if we talked about this in the past. This is a long gestating project, but it's based on a show we both loved from back in the day, The Fall Guy.
I'm not the kind to kiss and tell, but I've taught ladies plenty.
There was a scheduling snafu with the director. One of his projects I can't remember if it was postponed or canceled. So he said, all right, I'm jumping back in. Fall Guy is my next project. It's a go. Playing the Lee Majors role. And I could see this because I actually like the guy a lot, probably more than you. Ryan Gosling.
Oh, that could be good.
Now, have you ever seen The Nice Guys?
Not yet. That's on my watch list.
You have to see that, and then you'll say he could pull it off. He's got just the right amount of, and Drive, of course, is another one he was in. That was
Drive was
ultra
really
serious,
good.
Ultra serious, dark.
Yeah.
The Nice Guys is a little more comical, a little more fun, kind of like a kiss, kiss, bang, bang type thing.
Nice.
So he can mix up the action with the humor.
That's good. I do not mind that.
Yep. So now my movie review for the week is an Uncle Kev story time, which ties a little bit into the Batman review. Of course, I try to stay in contact with my daughter every week down at college, as much as that gives me migraine headache number 427.
That's just this year, kids.
But she is fairly literate when it comes to pop culture. I didn't say her tastes were good. I just said it was literate.
Fairly literate.
But she happened to bring up a show that she wanted me to watch. And she's already recommended The White Lotus, which eventually I might possibly get to. I watched the first couple minutes. It wasn't terrible. But and you will appreciate this story. So I said, okay, what is it? And she said, well, it's on Hulu. And I said, I don't have Hulu. She said, oh, it's been out for a little while. I didn't know if maybe you caught it when you had it before, because I mentioned I did have it a while back in 2021. And she's like, I'm like, who's in it? Oh, it's Zoe Kravitz is in it. I'm like, oh, of course. We like Zoe. Of course, she was in Kimmy. We reviewed that earlier. Of course, she is Catwoman, Selena Kyle,
Yep.
in the Batman. So what is it? Oh, it's High Fidelity. And oh my God, I'd completely forgotten Hulu had the audacity to redo Nick Hornby's High Fidelity with a female running the record store instead of the great John Cusack.
Oh.
So, of course, what did I have to do?
Sign up for Hulu.
No, David. No, I had to pull out my copy of the original High Fidelity and watch that. So that's my review for the week, because that, of course, is the loophole for old movies.
That's right.
So I watched the original High Fidelity. It's got to be, God, at least the 9th or 10th time I've watched it. I love.
Get your patchouli stinking ass out of my store.
I can't tell you how much I love the original High Fidelity. John Cusack, Jack Black, Tim Robbins.
Oh my God.
And of course,
Kate
the link.
Beckinsale.
No,
she's not in that one.
No, but the link between, this is what I pointed out to my daughter, there is the link between the Batman, the Hulu High Fidelity, and the
High Fidelity.
The rock star that he sleeps with in High Fidelity, the movie, is Lisa Bonet, who happens to be the mother of Zoe Kravitz, the star of the Hulu show.
I totally
all this
forgot
useless
about that.
knowledge rattling around in my head, kids. I know how to piece it together sometimes and blow people away, blow their minds. Anyway, High Fidelity, got to be one of the top 5 romantic comedies of all time. Of course, it incorporates music, the aforementioned record store championship vinyl, Jack Black in one of his first film roles being an absolute doofus. And then now the wimpy other guy, I didn't even bother to look him up on IMDb. He kind of brings things down a little bit. He's not a very engaging or interesting character.
No, not at all. He's just kind of filler.
But the top 5 list, John Cusack lives his life by top 5 lists in music, and goes through his top 5 breakups. And of course, that involves Catherine Zeta-Jones. Maybe that's who you're thinking of.
That's who I was
Catherine
thinking of.
Zeta-Jones, Lily Taylor's in there. So, of course, we mentioned Lisa Bonet. When John Cusack had that run through,
oh my God,
Say Anything,
Better Off Dead, One Crazy Summer, Hot Pursuit was one of his first ones.
And then kind of brought it back all together in Hot Tub Time Machine.
Yep. Before he became a doofus.
Yep. John Cusack can play that everyman lead in a romantic comedy better than anybody else, in my opinion. I have to, because I just didn't like that third guy in the record store that much. I give it a strong 3.5, but I can't go to the ultimate rating of 4, but I really want to, because I just love everything else about High Fidelity so much.
Yeah, that guy, if it was a war movie, he would be cannon fodder.
All right, kids, that'll do it for the movie segment. Wrapping it up here. I do want to bring up one other thing, social media related. Everybody's in a panic. Everybody's freaking out. I'm starting to like Elon Musk a lot. He did buy Twitter. He is driving everybody crazy because he says he's going to let free speech reign. God forbid. And the president had to come out right after he bought Twitter and start putting regulations and rules in on restricting free speech on the internet.
You cannot restrict free speech, period. Don't get me started with all this book banning crap going on in all these backwoods states like Tennessee and Texas and Oklahoma.
We will never rein it in, kids. That is not who we are. We will go down to the bitter end in the fight for free speech, obscene speech, sexist speech. That's all we're about.
Everyone has a right
to express their opinions,
to read or study what they want. Stop repressing everybody, you Nazi bastards.
Yep. Fahrenheit 451. We don't need that crap again.
No, we do not.
So good for Elon Musk. This guy keeps going. Maybe President.
Elon 2024.
President Musk. Man, he's putting people in space. He's buying Twitter and telling everybody, I'm going to clean up social media. The man is starting to win me over.
Yep, he's getting there. We'll see what happens.
All right. We got to wrap up here. Going to segment 3 with TV and streaming. No dumbasses this week, but a couple
big moments of silence.
Yep. So hang on. Dave and I will be right back.
Hello, this is Will Smith. You might know me as the original Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You might also know me from Bad Boys 1, Bad Boys 2, and Bad Boys for Life. And now you must also know me as an Academy Award-winning actor for King Richard. Also by now, you know there are 2 things I do not like people talking about in my presence. Namely, my open marriage and my wife's lack of hair. Well, now, there is a 3rd thing you do not talk about in front of Will Smith. You do not talk about Sports Frenzy 2.0. My boys, Kev and Dave, will hit slap the sports world in Hollywood each and every week on Sports Frenzy 2.0 and the Weekend Edition on Spotify, Anchor, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Breaker, Apple, Overcast, Castbox, and Stitcher. Just remember, keep Sports Frenzy's name out your damn mouth.
Hey kids, welcome back to the Weekend Edition of Sports Frenzy 2.0. He is the Conquistador Dave Height.
He is the Maestro Kevin Crane.
Taping here on the 28th of April. We're getting ready for our big draft shindig. Check out Sports Frenzy, the regular episode, the regular edition, next Thursday morning to get our complete breakdown of the NFL draft. But, of course, the Weekend Edition is all about fun and games. We are always available on Spotify, Anchor, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Breaker, Apple, Overcast, Castbox, and Stitcher! Wrapping things up here, TV and streaming, couple moments of silence in the rock world, and then we're going to cut out.
Get ready for the draft.
Watch the Detroit Lions botch that number 2 overall pick, much to the chagrin of our friend Sam, the elder statesman.
What was it somebody said? The Lions are going to draft number 2, and they have the 2nd pick.
All right, Dave and I are kind of going back and forth here. We're off kilter a little bit on what we're watching. We haven't finished up any seasons yet completely, but
no,
Dave's jumped ahead of me on a couple.
Tokyo Vice on HBO Max. This one, I thought first started a little slow. I am now 6 in and loving this one. The American who goes to Japan to be a writer with their newspaper, getting involved with the police and the underworld with the Yakuza. So good. So good. And I'm loving his friend Sato, who he's developing a friend, the Yakuza guy who he's building a friendship with.
Yes.
Who
has his own kind of dark backstory.
Yes. Dealing with his own demons. So good.
I'm only half an episode behind Dave right now on Tokyo Vice, so I imagine we'll catch up here really soon. It's almost over.
Yeah, it's pretty close. I think, 8?
So we've got maybe an episode or 2 left.
Yeah. So thoroughly enjoying it. Then on Peacock, Craig Robinson's comedy, Killing It. Oh my God, this is so damn funny. Teamed up a struggling entrepreneur and the Australian Uber driver
who trying to win ridiculously big assets.
Yes. and kind of out there on a personality, but oh my God, it is so much fun.
They make a good team.
They do. They play off of each other very well.
Throw his sketchy brother into the mix.
I'm starting to like his sketchy brother more and more, actually. And then his ex-wife and his kid, and oh my God, it's awesome. 6 episodes into that one.
So you got a couple on me on that.
So, and my boys and I did it. We are all caught up on The Boys. Season 2 is in the books, and we're ready for Season 3.
Are you going to do a full review, or are you going to hold off?
I think we will hold off for right now. We'll wait. I don't know. Do you want to dive into Season 2?
Why don't we wait till next week?
All right. We'll do the review of Season 2 of The Boys next week.
Again, another one where I finished it up, so I can add in more detail, so I don't spoil it for Dave. Now that we have officially gotten on the same plane.
Yep.
With Season 3 coming up really soon.
Yes.
Really, really soon.
Cannot wait for Soldier Boy.
I have been watching Outer Range. I am caught up on that. 2 episodes every Friday from Amazon Prime. The bizarre Western / sci-fi weird ass show featuring Josh Brolin and Will Patton. Man, this thing, it draws you in. It is not bad. I am not trying to be negative in any way, but it is just a weird ass show.
And that's one I believe the boys and I are going to begin here shortly.
Yeah, it's holding my attention. It's definitely not something I'm going to bail on. But man, I think the thing that's roped me in is it's so weird. I'm just like tied to it in terms of I've got to see where this is going to go.
What the hell are they going to do
this
next?
Could be an epic train wreck of a failure. But I've just got to see where this goes. I also am finally halfway through Moon Knight. Moon Knight on Disney Plus, 6 episodes, I believe. Short series. We talked about in the last segment what's coming up, so I'm probably going to dump Disney Plus once I get done with Moon Knight. I do like Moon Knight. It's very good. It does fit in more with the Netflix series that we've talked about, the Luke Cage. It's not quite as violent or intense as The Punisher.
Nothing is quite as intense and violent as The Punisher.
But there is a little bit more bloodshed and in fighting maybe than in the other Disney Plus stuff. Especially Hawkeye. I watched Hawkeye, and Hawkeye seemed, even though it was cute and fun, it was a holiday show.
Yeah.
Really is all it was. It was like the Disney holiday special.
Oh, God.
Dragged out through 6, I believe that was 6 episodes as well.
Well, maybe now that they've got their...
Now, Moon Knight's a little darker.
Bring in the other stuff, the darker. Now maybe we can get to Hawkeye.
The real Hawkeye, yeah. The darker... They delved into what we expected a little bit, but not quite as much as you would have thought or would have liked.
Yeah. See, now, Disney Plus wants to get me. We need to have Hawkeye and Black Widow and find out what the hell happened in Budapest.
Yeah, we're still waiting. Nobody knows what's happened to Black Widow. Because, of course, the movie that came out last year was a prequel.
Yep.
And, of course, Hawkeye, this is not a spoiler, Hawkeye, as predicted, is really torn up. He's been dealing with issues, so that's why this little lighter, holiday-ish Hawkeye series from Disney Plus last year.
From the edge.
Yeah. He finds people who actually are nice, that care.
I like the dark.
That's why I like Moon Knight. Moon Knight is dark. Now, I wouldn't say it's the greatest thing in the world, but it's definitely solid. And I think a 6-episode run for this is perfect. I don't know if it would really last with the storyline it's got going on past that. Ethan Hawke plays a great maniacal cult leader.
Ethan Hawke is good in whatever he does.
Yep. So looking forward to finishing that up. So hopefully next week I'll have that wrapped up, probably Killing It.
Yep. Should have Killing It knocked out for next week. Possibly Tokyo Vice.
Yeah, maybe I'll lay off Outer Range this week, let you catch up, and I'll get caught up on the other ones. I do need to bring up a couple negative things before we move on to the moments of silence and get ready for our draft shindig. I have to laugh. And I am not trying to side with one side over another politically, news-wise, but I find it hysterical that CNN Plus failed miserably
Oh my God.
and had to shut down after 1 month.
That's pathetic.
The only other thing I can think of recently that's had this kind of abject failure was, remember Quibi?
No.
Quibi went down in flames after a month or two. Roku ended up buying a lot of their... remember, they were trying to be content for the phones.
That
10-minute
crap.
episodes.
Yeah, that stupid thing.
Yeah. So CNN Plus couldn't get off the ground. Millions upon millions of dollars invested by Warner Brothers. Bye-bye, CNN Plus.
Ha ha.
Deep topic. We'll take a couple minutes talking about it. Inappropriate behavior on set seems to be catching like a virus, and shockingly, it always seems to be older white guys.
The ones who don't get it.
You can say that. We've talked about it in the past. I just find
They
it
don't-
funny that we never hear of any charges against women, any
You know
charges
they're
against any minorities. It's always white old men. Frank Langella, fired from the House of Usher on Netflix.
Yep.
Bill Murray now, the shooting schedule for his current movie, I think it's believed Being Immortal.
Yeah.
That shooting has been suspended because of his conduct.
And we know Murray has a history of abusive behavior on set. Well documented.
Yeah. And then a producer, David Hollander, the new CBS show that just debuted recently about bowling, believe it or not, How We Roll, he has been dismissed from not only that, but from the reboot of American Gigolo, who going
Why
back...
do we need a reboot?
Going back to we've got to talk about one of the shows we're going to put on our agenda for the future, starring one of our favorite actors, John Bernthal. He was going to be the star of American Gigolo.
Bernthal?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. They initially had shot some footage, so I don't know if they're going to go forward with it, but the guy in charge of that and that How We Roll show on CBS, he also charged with inappropriate conduct.
What is inappropriate conduct anymore?
This is my question to you, Dave. Again, it seems like it's a very one-sided issue.
Yeah.
Where an older white guy looks at you the wrong way and he is a creep.
Yep.
And we need to get rid of him.
He comes up and puts his arm around you to talk. Really? No?
And I'm not dismissing, like you said, Bill Murray has a history. But I'm just really getting curious about the rules and restrictions that older white guys are going to have on a set versus the women, versus the gays, versus minority actors and actresses, where I think they are now getting more leeway in terms of they can... I'm not saying this to be anything other...
We just, inquiring minds want to know what's the behavior of
I'm trying to be analytical
else.
here. I'm just trying to put out a supposition.
Oh, to be a fly on the wall on many sets.
Yes. Nobody wants the casting couch like they had
No,
50
that
years
was all
ago.
bullshit.
But at the same time, we're going so far, again, like we do with so many other issues, the other way. The pendulum swings too far the other way. It can't rest in the middle. It just never can rest in the middle where we're all sane and we make sense of everything and we're nice and kind and decent to each other. It's got to go from one side where it was 50, 60 years ago with racism and sexism and homophobia, and now it swings all the way over the other way where now it's all you assholes who caused all the problems 50 years ago, now retribution has come. Does that solve the problem, though? Does it really solve any problems?
No, it does
Vengeance is mine.
No, just sanity has to come to rest at some point.
So I mentioned John Bernthal in this American Gigolo reboot. The one show that I am looking forward to starting to watch here this week. I'm a big fan of The Wire on HBO. I know you haven't watched it years and years ago.
Yeah.
Widely considered one of the greatest shows of all time, and I will fully back that assertion. It is phenomenal about corruption in the police force, in various other aspects of government in Baltimore. One topic a year throughout the seasons. 1 year has to do with the waterfront. 1 year has to do with the public school system.
Yeah.
Might have jumped the shark a little bit in the last season, but still really good. So one of the creators of The Wire is behind We Own This City, brand new HBO series starring, again, John Bernthal as the head of the gun task force in Baltimore. Took a little sampling of it, watched about 10 minutes. I'm already in love with it. Can't wait. This is going to be a slow burn, though. This is going to be one episode a week. So now we were getting 2 a week with Tokyo Vice. Of course, killing it. The entire season dropped in one day.
We Own the City might be one I wait on. Accumulate them and then start going.
All right, wrapping things up. Moments of silence. 3 big ones in rock and roll. Dave has got the biggest in terms of how it affects us in the 80s. Hair band.
80s hair band. Autograph bassist, founding member, Randy Rand passes away. So, in honor of his memory, kids, turn up the radio.
Yep, and they were working on new music, too.
Yeah. Thoughts and prayers to the family and friends.
Before I get to my 2, you just made me think of something. Bad news I heard today. Not a moment of silence, but in reference to 80s hair metal. Stephen Pearcy came out today and said Rat is done. He says they may release some archival music, but he said he's tired of it. There was an offer on the table that was going to get all the surviving original members back together. Nobody got together. Nobody bit. Nobody reached out to call, and they didn't talk to each other. DeMartini, Juan Crochet, Bobby Blatzer, and Pearcy can't get together. So Pearcy says it's done.
Dumbasses.
Because he says, I'm tired of putting together these fake lineups.
Yeah.
So Rat looks like they could be done. So in a way, shame. A moment of silence for one of the greatest hair bands of the 80s. I liked Earth, Wind & Fire. I thought Earth, Wind & Fire was pretty good. That's back when I liked rock and pop and soul, disco. Again, I'm a white guy in 2022, so I must be a racist, right? Well, explain to me why I like the Commodores, and I liked Earth, Wind & Fire. I liked Chic. Back then, that music, it didn't matter what the color of your skin was. We just wanted the music.
Exactly.
Earth, Wind & Fire, I've always loved them. Saxophone player for Earth, Wind & Fire, Andrew Woolfolk, has passed away.
Not another of the great saxophonists.
Yep. Yep. Andrew Woolfolk has passed away from Earth, Wind & Fire. So thoughts and prayers to him and the EWF family. I believe they're supposed to be on tour this summer with Santana.
Intriguing.
Yeah. Finally, legendary groupie, plaster caster Cynthia Albritton. Of course, Kiss, Gene Simmons
God.
wrote a song for her. Fledgling art school student who wanted to become a groupie. That was like her goal, but she didn't know how to do it. She was shy. She decided to come up with this combination of her desire to be a groupie with her art school background, and decided to figure out a way to cast the penises
of the rock
stars. There was legal issues later on. Somebody got a hold of her collection and she had to sue to try to get it back. She got most of them back. But I am not condoning this behavior.
No.
Having my own daughter, no way in hell am I condoning this behavior. But in the annals of rock history, this is one for the books.
Yes, it is.
So rest in peace, plaster caster Cynthia Albritton.
Wow, that was just wow.
All right, dude. I think we need to watch the draft.
Yep, let's fire it up.
All right, kids.
Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
He's the Conquistador Dave Height.
He's the Maestro Kevin Crane.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
Shoot us a line. Let us know what you think. Give us some recommendations of what to watch and listen to.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Go Bucks. Bears, maybe tomorrow night when they finally have a pick.
Hey, let's see what the Dolphins come up with, too.
All right, kids. Have a great weekend. Do not listen to Third Secret.
Stay away.
We will talk to you next week. Take care.